ever been in an exam hall and you saw that you had 3 whole hours to answer your questions, and you start writing, then the next minute you hear 10 minutes more, and you are wondering, where did all the time go? My name is Grace Kalu. I have the trademark of excellence, and God is my foundation. I am on a mission to instilling the mindset of excellence in the hearts of people all over the world. In today's video, I'll be speaking about how not to run out of time in an exam. How not to run out of time in an exam. Time flies, especially in the exam hall. And in this video, I'll be sharing practical tips that you can follow in any exams or interview to ensure that you finish all the answers within time. From research, I have realized that many students struggle with proper time management in the exams, and this leads to some questions not being given adequate attention before the end of the time stipulated for the exams. Now, the truth is that time management is an essential part of an exam assessment. The assessors know that if they give you, let's say, 6 hours to answer the same set of questions, you may have enough time to actually interpret and render your answers within time. Your examiners really want to know whether you can read through a broad range of questions, interpret these questions, and give the answers required of you within a stipulated time frame. That's why you have some exams lasting for 1 hour, some lasting for 2 hours, and personally, the highest I have written lasting for 3 hours. One wisdom that should be predominant in your mind as you manage time in an exam is the fact that you'll be assessed on your attempt across all questions that are asked, and not just your excellent attempt of one question to the detriment of others. So at the back of your mind should be that you will go for all the questions. If you are required to answer 4 questions, your aim in that exam should be to answer all the 4 questions and not just to answer 2 very well and forget about the others. And so what should you do? Have a plan to attempt all questions. Attempt all questions in the exams. If you have 4 questions to answer, have a plan to answer all 4 and not just 2. Because like I would usually say, it is better to score 12, 10, 8, 8 across 4 questions than to score 14, 14 in 2 questions. If you add up the sum in 12, 12, 8, 8, that's for 4 questions, you would have 40 marks as opposed to your attempt of having 14 in 2 questions, which is 28. So that begs the question, how do I ensure that I do not run out of time in exams? How do I ensure that this time is enough for me to attempt all these questions? These practical wisdom tips that I will share will help you equally divide your time in your exams. The wisdom for this is simple. Divide the time that has been allotted for that exams among all the questions you have to answer. I will use practical instances from my own exams. I usually had 4 questions to answer within 3 hours, so that's 180 minutes. So what I did was to allocate 40 minutes to each question, 40 minutes to each question. So at the end of the day, I would spend 160 minutes answering each of my questions. And one thing that I usually would do is that once my 40 minutes gets exhausted, I will move to the next question, irrespective of how far I had gone with the previous question or how much was left to be done. And in some other times, I will actually finish answering 1 question before the end of the 40 minutes, so I'm able to save up more time for myself. So after I answer my 4 questions in 160 minutes, the remaining 20 minutes will be used to go over the work, and I will also spend the time I had saved from some of the questions I answered before the end of the 40 minutes. So let me do a recap. In my typical exams, which has 4 questions and I have to answer in 3 hours, I would divide the number of minutes I have among all the questions equally and ensure that I attempt those questions within that particular time frame. So for me, I will work with 40 minutes, and at the end of 40 minutes, I'll move to the next question. At the end of the next 40 minutes, I'll move to the next and next until I'm done. And the remaining 20 minutes will be used for a recap or a review to go over my work to ensure that I tighten up loose ends. So that's the wisdom I have to share. When next you have an exam which is timed and you stare at the question, the first thing to be done is to divide those questions you have to answer within the time frame that you have to answer it. Don't get overwhelmed and don't get scared that, oh, you may not finish within time. You may have a situation where you are not able to finish the question within the time frame you allotted. You can just hold on that particular question and move on to the next and next until you have exhausted the time you allocated for it. And if there is still an extra time, you can go over your work. That way you are sure that you have replicated your efforts across all the questions and not just focus your attention on one question or two questions to the detriment of others. And then another wisdom I should share is that if you are in an exam where you have compulsory questions and those questions tend to be more than the others, you can actually allocate more time to those compulsory questions to ensure that you have time to go over them, while you allocate lesser time to questions that are not compulsory and are not much. Compulsory questions usually carry higher marks, and you want to find yourself covering all angles in those particular questions to secure the marks that are necessary. So do not get scared or overwhelmed with questions when you have to write an exam. Adequate planning, perfect planning, and dividing the time you have among the number of questions you have to answer is a perfect way of being on top of the situation. So when the examiner says 15 minutes more, you will be assured that you've made considerable progress. Finally, before I go, my message recommendation for today is building discipline for your success. Building discipline for your success. It's a 30-minute audio that will help you know the wisdom to employ in your academics to bring in excellent results which you desire. I'll put in the link in the description box and also in the comment section. Get the link, listen to the message. Also join the Telegram channel for other resources that will transform your mindset for excellence. I hope you found these tips helpful. Share in the comment section and let us also know if there are other things that you do to help with proper time management in exams. Thank you very much for taking out time to watch this video today. My name is Grace Kalu. I am the mentor.